Welcome to 60 Skills. We will now begin a course on longevity. If approached and asked the simple question, what is health? Most physicians will reply, health is the absence of pathology. This is a curious statement considering the fact that this is most often what concerns a patient when they come to see a doctor. While ill health is largely unavoidable over the course of a lifespan, there are, however, some things we can do to increase longevity and our health during that time period. First, we can engage in the use of Moxibustion. Moxibustion involves the burning of aged mugwort root against the surface of the skin in very small amounts. We can utilize acupuncture, and we can engage in various meditative practices. In today's course, we will be utilizing the letter L from Barden's Kabbalah, as the letter L within Barden's Kabbalah is normally associated with vital force. At the end of this course, we will have a very brief presentation on ritual hygiene that utilizes hyssop oil in a bath. So, please join me for this adventure. Welcome to 60 Skills. Certain pieces of equipment will be required to perform this course. First, you will need to purchase pre-formed moxa cones. These cones come with a sticker on the end that can be used to place the moxa cone on your body. Then when it is ignited, it burns down, and when it gets down to the level of the cardboard, you simply pull it off and put it out in a little bit of water. You will also need a lighter of some kind to light the moxa with, a small bowl filled with water to put the moxa out. You will also need to purchase some acupuncture needles. I strongly advise buying acupuncture needles of no more than 34 or 36 gauge, 30 being a thicker needle and 40 being a much thinner needle. Needles that are 34 or 36 gauge are relatively easy to use by people without much training and are commonly used for self-care in places like China. Depending upon where you live, acquiring these may be easier or more difficult because in some places they are considered licensed medical devices. However, the fact of the matter is they are relatively easy to source online. You will also need something to dispose of the needles in. And finally, you will want to purchase a small bottle of hyssop oil. This is hyssop essential oil and may be purchased from a variety of providers. Finally, you will want a timing device of some kind so you can time your meditation. When you have this equipment, you can begin the practice of this course. Let us begin. Things we can do to improve longevity. As one of my instructors or teachers once told me, you cannot beat the monkey. What he was stating by this is the simple fact that if you are overweight, if you are diabetic, if you smoke, if you drink excessively, or if you engage in drug use on a regular basis, receive inadequate sleep over a long period of time, or have far too much stress in your life, all of these things will decrease your lifespan. This is just the way things work. So, utilization of the tools that are presented in this course can help mitigate that when that is unavoidable. However, the simple fact of the matter is, if you are 20 kilos or 40 pounds overweight, you need to lose weight. If you are getting inadequate sleep, at some point you need to get adequate sleep. If you smoke, at some point you need to stop smoking. And if you regularly engage in the use of illicit drugs and narcotics, you need to stop doing that. These things are the fundamentals of your life. The issue of diet also comes up frequently, but that is a science unto itself. All that I can really say about that is as long as your body fat levels are in check and the blood work that you receive from your doctor is good, whatever diet you are following is adequate. I have seen people achieve excellent results off of a variety of diets. I have also seen people do great harm to themselves by attempting to follow a diet that their body simply did not respond well to. So always keep in mind, regardless of anything else that we do here, you cannot beat the monkey. You must deal with the fundamentals of the physical body you live in, or none of these things that we do are going to have much of an effect. So, let us begin. Moxibustion. What is it? Moxa is the aged mugwort plant. Naturally, in its more primitive form, this is known as moxa floss. We will not be using this today. The application of moxa floss takes a little bit of skill, and there are modern, easier to use alternatives. For our purposes, we will be utilizing pre-manufactured moxa cones. These can be sourced from a variety of places, both online and in your local community. Specifically, you want to buy the kind that smoke. Smokeless moxa does not work nearly as well for our application. Additionally, you will want the kinds of cones that come with a little sticker on the base. You pull off a piece of paper, it exposes a sticker. It can then be placed against the skin and lit. Moxibustion is quite possibly older than acupuncture in Asia. The earliest medical texts that have been found all mention the use of moxibustion for dealing with various ailments and for the purposes of life extension. In the West, it was even known during the time of the Romans. However, for a variety of reasons, knowledge and use of this compound were lost. It was, however, preserved in Asia, so we will be taking that approach today. Two excellent books exist on the utilization of moxibustion. One is Moon over Matsushima by Merlin Young. The other is a book simply entitled Moxibustion by Lorraine Wilcox. Both of these cover the history and use of moxibustion in exquisite detail. For our purposes today, we will not need to go nearly that deeply. Just understand that in Japan, for example, utilization of moxibustion is a 2-year-long course by itself. However, its use in folk medicine and as a form of self-care, which is what we are engaging in today, is very old, very well respected, and frequently used in other parts of the world. All right, how does moxibustion function? Well, biomedical research in Japan indicates that application of moxibustion on key parts in the body can help to regulate the immune system. As we age, this becomes increasingly important as the immune system tends to malfunction over time. From a standpoint of traditional Chinese medicine, utilization of moxibustion adds more qi, or for lack of a better term, energy, into the body, thereby increasing our animation and making us live longer. As a practical matter, it seems to add something to the body. At a minimum, it warms the body and simply tends to make the body work better. So, this will be our primary tool that we will use today. As a practical matter, you will want to wear loose cotton clothing. This is to avoid setting any of your clothing on fire when you're using this methodology. You will also want to do this either out of doors or in a very well ventilated place. The smoke from moxibustion is not good for the lungs, so you're going to want to be in a place where you're not inhaling a lot of it. If necessary, you may utilize a small fan set on a very low setting to blow the moxa smoke away from you and remove the amount you're inhaling, or reduce the amount you're inhaling. As a practical matter, you will want to utilize anywhere from 3 to 5 of these cones on each part of the body. You do not need to do this on a daily basis. Moxibustion may be performed every other day or every third day. Finally, moxibustion tends to be fairly animating to the person receiving it. So as a practical matter, you will tend to want to utilize Moxibustion in the morning. This is simply so you don't have a difficult time sleeping later on in the day. Let us begin. What is acupuncture? Acupuncture is the insertion of filiform needles into the skin. This is a very old and well-established art in Asia. Virtually all of the cultures there have mention of acupuncture or have actively used it for a period of approximately 2,000 years, if not longer. China being the most well-known, however, it has existed for quite some time in Japan, Korea, and other areas. Traditionally, the needles utilized were much larger than the ones available today. As such, people didn't tend to use this methodology nearly as often as they did Moxibustion. However, in today's environment, we now have very small needles. In fact, these needles are anywhere from a quarter or less in diameter than a hypodermic needle would be that you receive in a hospital. They're fairly comfortable to use. As a practical matter, as mentioned earlier, you want to purchase acupuncture needles that are 34 or 36 gauge. The reason for this is very simple. When you get smaller than this, at the 38 and 40 gauge point or higher, the needles simply become very difficult to handle for someone without much skill. So keep this in mind. When you do this, you'll want to keep in mind that the purpose behind acupuncture is to allow for an improved circulation of qi, or for lack of a better word, energy within the body. Needles themselves do not add any energy to the body. We are already adding more energy to the body by utilizing Moxibustion. So you use Moxibustion to add energy to the body, and you use acupuncture needles to regulate the movement of energy within the body, thereby improving lifespan. As a simple matter, there are almost 400 known acupuncture points within the body. More if you include the extraordinary points that don't track along the lines of channels within the body. Utilization of acupuncture to treat illness is a complicated art and usually requires a couple of years of study and a university degree in most developed countries. We are not going to be doing that today. What we are going to be doing is utilizing 2 to 3 points in the body per session that simply reinforce the functioning and proper movement of energy in the body. This is a very common practice outside Western Europe and North America. However, as long as purchasing these needles is no undue burden or does not run afoul of any laws in your local area, there is no reason why you cannot do this yourself. Again, since you're inserting a foreign object into the body temporarily, you need to apply some common sense. 1. The skin you place the needle into needs to be clean. You can swab this with an alcohol swab if you like. 2. When you are done using the needles, you need to dispose of them properly. Don't just throw them into the trash where animals can get into them, or drop them off where other people can stab themselves in the hand or foot while retrieving your trash. You need to get a proper container for this. As was mentioned with Moxibustion, you do not need to engage in acupuncture on a daily basis. As a matter of fact, because we are using such a limited number of points for our self-care, the fact of the matter is, if you use acupuncture on those points on a daily basis, you will exhaust the points from the standpoint of traditional Chinese medicine. Basically, they just won't be effective. As a practical matter, I would advise using self-acupuncture every other day or every third day. So, on one day, you can engage in your Moxibustion. On the next day, you can engage in your acupuncture. On the following day, your meditative practice, and then repeat the cycle if you like. As a practical matter, again, you really only need to do self-acupuncture about twice a week. 3 times is okay too. Again, it'll just depend on how your body responds to it. Additionally, you need to be careful how you insert these needles into the body. Don't be jerky with it. Use steady, smooth pressure, and we will get more into this later on in the course. But suffice it to say, you will also want to perform self-acupuncture while lying down initially. Some people have a tendency to become unconscious when using acupuncture. So if you're seated in a chair, you might simply fall over. You can use a chair later on, but in the beginning I would advise doing this while lying down in bed. That way, in the event you inadvertently take a nap, you don't risk falling over and hurting yourself. Let us begin. What is hyssop oil? Hyssop oil is an essential oil that is distilled from the flowers and leaves of the hyssop plant. It has a very long history in Western civilization and, interestingly enough, in Asia, as an agent that can be used to energetically purify the body. I am not particular as to where I get my hyssop oil from. The simple fact of the matter is lots of companies make a great product. Choose any high quality product you like. As a practical matter, it energetically seems to elevate and clear energy in the body. So the application is very simple. Once or twice a week, draw a hot bath. As you're doing this, pour 4 or 5, maybe as many as 6 drops, not ounces, drops of hyssop oil into the bath and allow it to circulate. You will then want to engage in some kind of prayer. Christians, when using hyssop oil, would traditionally use Psalm 51:7. However, any kind of prayer involving purification of the body, spirit, and mind works well with hyssop oil. This is not something you need to do every day. Once or twice a week, or even once or twice a month is more than sufficient. After you are done bathing for 10 or 20 or 30 minutes, get up and dry yourself off. Between the effect of the oil itself and its energetic properties, the body is going to feel exceptionally clean and light. When you're in this state, you do not want to go out into public, so it's best if you do this at the end of your day. The reason is very simple. Energetically, your body will be wide open, and you don't want to risk being exposed to something until it learns how to naturally close itself during the period of sleep. Most people who do this also tend to have very nice dreams afterwards. So, let us begin. Welcome to 60 Skills. What is the letter L? The letter L is from Barden's Kabbalah. This is from Franz Barden's third book, Key to the True Kabbalah. It is a dark green color that generates a sensation of lightness or floating in the body and is done at a fairly high-pitched tone. In Barden's Kabbalah, the letter L represents vitality at a physical level. So when you look at a variety of pictures of saints who were involved with medicine or healing, there's a tendency around the edges of that saint to see a dark green color. This is, in fact, the letter L. These entities tend to employ this energy as their base energy. Today, we are going to be giving you a very brief course on how to employ this. Now, as a practical matter, you only need to do this for 5 to 10 minutes at a time. More than that can have its benefits, but it simply becomes a little time-consuming. The advantage to using the letter L is to do it more frequently, however. So when you use L, after you're done with your Moxibustion session or your acupuncture session, you will want to add 5 to 10 minutes of this letter. Now, in general, what you're going to be wanting to do is to either whisper or vibrate the letter. The reason for this is simple. If you vibrate the letter, it tends to move the letter more strongly through your body. Finally, when you're done with your meditation session, you will want to utilize a bottle of water, and you will want to charge the energy of the letter L into the water. The reason for this is very simple. It's rather difficult for most people to get meditative energy to penetrate their body. So if we apply a medium for that energy to inhabit, such as a bottle of water, it does a pretty good job of doing an end run around your body's protective mechanisms and allows it to penetrate much deeper. Now, because this will be a ritually charged object, i.e. your bottle of water, you don't want to go pouring it out at the end of the day. You want to drink all of it. So when you do this, utilize a rather small bottle of water. That way you're not carrying around a huge jug of this stuff. And you're going to want to recharge it on a daily basis. The effect from this over time can be quite profound. However, in the beginning, from a day-to-day standpoint, just do the practice and allow it to work its way through you. Physical and the energetic. So in this course, we will be covering a variety of mostly energetic methods of extending your lifespan. However, all of these energetic methods have a physical medium. Moxibustion has the lit cone. Acupuncture has the insertion of the needle. And the hyssop oil involves just that, the application of an oil to your bath. Finally, and most importantly, utilization of the letter L will involve a carrier medium, in this case, a bottle of water. All of these are great ways of reinforcing your health and improving longevity. However, as was stated earlier, if you do not address serious underlying physical problems, you will have substandard results. As my teacher said, you cannot beat the monkey being us. So, again, take the time to deal with any physical ailments you have using conventional methods. If you cannot, or if you're in an unavoidable situation where you have to live off of inadequate sleep or inadequate nutrition, these things can certainly help. However, long term, those issues must be dealt with. So again, in this course, we will be dealing with some physical applications, but mostly energetic applications for improving longevity. Let us begin. How to utilize Moxibustion. In this course, we will be utilizing Moxibustion on 2 points of the body, one on the leg and one on the lower abdomen. The measurement for both points will involve a hand width. In this case, it is the width of the 4 fingers of your hand, from the index finger to the small finger. The first point we will utilize is classically known as stomach 36. This is the point that is most often used when applying Moxibustion for longevity and health purposes. It has a variety of effects on your postnatal qi or energy and tends to do a very good job of helping regulate the digestion, which as a younger person is not much of an issue, but as an older person can become very important. Classically speaking, people tended not to apply Moxibustion to this point of the body below the age of 30. For our purposes, the age of 28 works reasonably well. Additionally, if you were pregnant, I would not do this. In that case, I would talk to a qualified practitioner of traditional Chinese medicine, or if in Japan, a qualified practitioner of Moxibustion, to attain their opinion on whether or not you should be doing this, depending on where you are in your pregnancy and what conditions are presenting themselves. As a practical matter, when you apply the Moxibustion cone, you will want to light the cone before you apply it to the body. While it certainly can be lit while on the body, the odds of burning yourself are much higher. Additionally, you will be wanting to wear plain cotton clothing, preferably older clothing, because it's not uncommon for a bit of the cotton to touch the end of one of these cones, and you don't want to ruin a nice shirt. Additionally, the smell of the smoke from the Moxibustion is quite pronounced. So ideally, you'll be doing this outside. If not, do it in your garage or in a place where the smell won't cause much of a problem. Finally, if you need to, you can utilize a small fan to blow the smoke away from your body so you inhale less of it. So first I will show you how to measure and find these points. Stomach 36 is located upon the leg. Finding it is rather simple. Stand up. Put the leg someplace where you can easily see it. In this case, I'm going to use the leg of a chair. Take your hand, and again, you're using a palm width from the index finger to the small finger. Place that from the base of the kneecap. Feel the top of the shin. Come over a finger width. That's where you're going to put the cone. You're going to apply 3 of these cones in succession, one after another. So in total, if you're using both the point on the abdomen and the point on the leg, you will use 9 cones. Most packages of these cones come in packs of 180. So this would be enough for 20 sessions. And a pack of cones should not cost much more than $6 to $8 US at the time this video was recorded. So simply put, it's pretty affordable. Now, as for the point on your abdomen, stand up. Take your hand from your belly button. Use the distance from the top of the index finger to the base of the little finger. Hold it below the belly button, and you'll want to put the cone there. As a practical matter, any point a little above or a little below works just fine. So if you're wearing pants, you'll want to pull those down. And again, we will be using 3 cones here. You can utilize as many as 5 or 9, but for most people, 3 cones on each spot for a total of 9 cones every second or third day should have a pretty profound health effect. Again, you are going to be utilizing fire, so you're going to want to be careful with this. I will now demonstrate how you light and place a cone. In this case, I will be demonstrating it upon the leg. I will then do a very short demonstration on the abdomen. So, take your cone, remove the sticker. Do this slowly and carefully, as they tend to pull off inappropriately if you don't. Take your lighter, light the end of the cone. You're going to want to make sure that it's burning on its own. You can tell this by the smoke being issued. Stand up. Measure the distance. 4 fingers down, little finger over. There you go. That's how you place your cone. You'll sit there and you will allow it to burn down to the cardboard base. When it has done this, you can take it off and put it out in a small cup of water. Older people sometimes have difficulty feeling the heat from these. So if it begins to feel too hot, by all means, take it off. If you cannot feel the sensation of the heat from the moxa burning very well, once it reaches the top of this cardboard insert, you'll want to pull it off and put it out. You can use a large set of forceps or tweezers, or simply use your hand. It's up to you. Now, for placement of the cone against the abdomen, this is how you do that. Again, pull the end off. Light the Moxibustion. Okay, make sure it's smoking. Sometimes these are hard to light. You don't have to use a propane lighter. A conventional lighter works well. These just work particularly well for this purpose. Stand up. Again, you'll want to do this with your shirt rolled up. Pull your pants down. 4 fingers. Stick the cone against your belly. Now, as you notice, the smoke tends to come up towards my face. You'll want to remain standing when you do this. It's hard to do it seated. Then when it burns all the way down or it begins to feel too hot, pull it off. Put it out in your source of water. That's it. It's very simple. So you will want to do both points, one on each leg and one on the abdomen. Ideally, you should wait 20 or 30 minutes before you take a shower afterwards if the smell is an issue for you. However, as a practical matter, if you need to get your day started, just go ahead and do that. It's really not that big a deal. So again, this should be performed every second or third day, ideally out of doors, and ideally wearing loose, old cotton clothing. Let us begin.